Hello, my dear student. Welcome to another edition of your mathematics lesson. Today, in continuation with your main topic, arithmetic of finance, we're going to take another aspect of it, that is commission. So let's begin. After completing the very lesson today, my dear student, will be able to explain the term commission. And number two, also be able to solve problems involving commission. These are the two things I hope, my dear student, you'll be able to do after completing the very lesson today. So as usual, my dear student, in a favorite segment of the lesson, today I'll give you another special group of numbers. And this group of numbers are called the Smith numbers. I will explain what are Smith numbers with other examples after completing my lesson today. So don't go away. To begin the lesson, my dear student, let me first explain the term commission. So commission is nothing but the pay received by sales agent after making some sales. So that reward, that money, that income received by sales agent after making sales is what we refer to as commission. And the commission is usually percentage of the total sales. It is calculated as this formula, that is commission equals to percent multiplied by the total sales. So this sales agent in a particular month, if he's being paid monthly, in a particular month that his sales is low, his commission, that is his income in that very month, will now be low. And when the total sales is high, his commission, that is his income, is now going to be high. So it's based on the total sales, and it is usually a certain percent of that very total sales. We are going to use this formula in our subsequent examples. I will now find the commissions of some sales agents. So let's just move and take examples. So example number one, it says Helen is a sales agent and she receives a monthly salary of 30,000 naira. And after this 30,000 naira, there's an addition to this amount, and that addition is 5% commission of all sales made by her in that very month. The question asked is to calculate her income in a month that her total sales amounts to this 2 million naira. So this Helen will now receive money seriously in this very month. Solution to this very question. So this sales agent, there is a fixed salary of 30,000 naira as stated in the question. But after this 30,000 naira, there is additional income. And that additional income is called the commission. And the commission is 5% of whatever sales she made in that very month. The question says, if in a month she made a sales of this 2 million naira, what will now be her income? So let's just move. So commission, the formula for commission, which we now said is equals to commission rate, which is this 5% multiplied by the total sales. So commission rate is that percentage of the total sales, which is 5% here, multiplied by the total sales. So let me just get the commission now on this 2 million naira. So there we continue, we now have 5% as the commission rate, multiplied by the total sales, which is 2 million given in the question. Doing this, if done correctly, you now have 100,000 as the commission. That is the 5% of this to 2 million. So Helen, apart from her salary 30,000, that is which is fixed, she also earned this in addition 100,000. So her total income is now going to be the salary, that is the fixed salary 30, which I explained, plus her commission, which is 100,000. So substituted, you now have 30,000 naira plus the 100,000 naira, which gives 130,000 naira. This will now be her income in this very month. Example number two, it says a sales representative of pharmaceutical company receive a commission of 5% of the very first 500,000 naira sales, 7% of the next 500,000 naira sales, and 10% of the remaining sales. The question asked here is find his commission in the month that his total sales amount to 2,005,000 naira. So solution to this very question. So this pharmaceutical company, the rate they offer, that is the commission rate they give, varies depending on the total sales. So for the very first 500,000, they offer 5%. The next 500,000 is another, you can see 7%. And the remaining is 10%. So let's just split this and see how many 500 and the remaining that we are going to have, so that we now calculate the percentage on those appropriate amounts. So let me just move. So commission, which we now said is 5% of the very first 500. If I now remove 500,000 from this to 2 million, I still have more. So I'll now first find 5% of that 500,000 plus the next, what will now be the remaining after I subtracted this 500,000 from 2 million, is now going to be about 1,505,000. So which means I still have another 500 to find this 7%. So I now have 7% of the next 500. This 500 and this 500 make it to 1 million. So what remains from this total sales is now going to be 1,005,000. So on that 1,005,000, I'll now find the 10% of it. That will now be the commission. So it's now going to be 10% of 1,005,000. Now repeat. The total sales will now split it. You will just be taking this 500,000 first. What remains, if it exceeds the 500,000, fine. Just find the 7% of it. Even if it didn't exceed, find the 7% of it, whatever. But if it is over this, there is still remaining amount after taking the second 500,000, then what remains, you now take 10% of it. And this is what we exactly did. The 500,000, first one, we now calculate 5% of it. The next 500,000, we now find the 7% of it. There is still remaining from this total sales, and that remaining is 1,005,000. So we now find the 10% of the remaining. So it's this calculation that we're going to move and do. So 5% of 500,000 would now be 5 over 100 multiplied by 500,000. 7% of this will now be 7 over 100 multiplied by 500,000. 10% of this means 10 over 100 multiplied by 1,005,000. And multiplying this correctly gives 25,000 for the very first one. 7% of 500,000 will give a result 35,000, and 10% of 1,005,000 will now give 100,500 naira. And adding these three values correctly give result 160,500 naira. This will now be the total commission received by this sales representative from this total sales of the 2,005,000 naira. With this, I have come to the end of this very lesson, my dear student. I hope you find it resourceful. And let me just move to the last segment, mass span, and explain what are Smith numbers. A number is Smith if what happened if sum of its prime factors is equal to the sum of its digits. This is the definition of what we call the Smith numbers. So if the sum of the prime factors of that very number is equal to the sum of the digits in the number, then the number is called Smith. Let's take examples of Smith number. 27 is Smith, 22 also is Smith. Let's just find out whether they are. So starting with the very first 27, its prime factorization will be 3 times 3 times 3. This is the prime numbers that you multiply to get this 27. I'll continue. So some of those prime factors will now be 3 plus 3 plus 3, which gives us 9. And if I now look at those digits in the number 27, it is 2 and 7. So let me add those digits in 27, 2 and 7. This gives me 9. So what this definition says, if the number is Smith, some of it is prime factors, which we have here, 3 plus 3 plus 3, which gives us this number 9. And the sum of the digits in the number, that is 27, which we did here, 2 plus 7, it gives us 9. So which means 27 is a Smith number. Let me just take this, the next 22, and test whether it is. So if I start at 22, the prime factorization will be 2 multiplied by 11. The sum of the prime factors will now be 2 plus 11. You can see it is 2 digits here. So you now split it as 2 plus those 11 will now be 1 plus 1. We don't want this 2 digit. We want just 1 digit. So 1 plus 1. And when you do this correctly, what you have is 4. That is 2 plus the bracket. The bracket will now be 2, 2 plus 2, which gives you 4. Then if I take the number again, this number 22, I'll now find the sum of those digits in 22, that is 2 plus 2. It will also give me 4. So you can see 4 is the sum of the digits, and the sum of the prime factors is also 4, which means 22 is a Smith number. Let me just give you other examples of Smith numbers. 4 is Smith, 58 is Smith, 85 is Smith, 666 is Smith, and other numbers that are Smith. Thank you for your attention. We see more of these interesting things in mathematics in our subsequent lessons.